think it might be time for us to hit the reset button on the Chicago Marathon build on this YouTube channel. The last couple of videos have been more of the lows of the marathon roller coaster. Meh, my body feels awful. Terrible. But now, hopefully, it's time to hit some of those highs. I'm gonna give you an update on how I'm feeling right now, both physically and mentally, and how the last 2 weeks have looked after that race in Falmouth. I just wanted to start. I'm gonna bring you along for a pretty important workout tomorrow to see where I'm actually at, which happens to be a 21-mile long run workout. And we're gonna sit down with John to chat about whether Chicago is still on the plan. He did promise we'd check in every 2 weeks. At the time of filming today, we are 6 weeks and 2 days out from the Chicago Marathon. How am I feeling? I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling a lot better than I was in the last couple of videos, which I appreciate the bar was pretty low because I had fallen flat on my face on a trail and couldn't run for a few days, and then I had a pretty shocking race. But I really feel like I've turned a corner in the last couple of weeks being back at altitude since Falmouth, which I really needed. Physically as well, I feel like over the last couple of weeks, we've got some really solid work in and a lot of it. So I feel like I'm in a much better spot fitness-wise, which is also very needed. And hopefully I'll be able to show that and kind of test the wheels a little bit tomorrow in a real marathon style session, because we are heading down to Camp Verde pretty early in the morning for a long run workout. The first of those that I've done up here. I did 2 back home at the start of the block that went really, really well. And if you followed along in the London Marathon block, you'll know that these types of sessions became a little bit of a mental block for me. I had a couple that didn't go very well and I kind of got a little bit in my own head with it. In the past, I feel like I have really linked these workouts with how fit and ready I am for the marathon, which on the one hand is fair because it's a very similar stimulus to running a marathon, but it's also not fair to base your readiness for the race off of one workout. So I'm a little bit nervous for tomorrow. It's going to be hot down in Camp Verde. Yes, we're at lower altitude, but I think sometimes the heat kind of cancels that out. And I think there's a little bit of an association there because those workouts that didn't go so well were down in Camp Verde. I feel a little bit nervous about it, but that's okay. What exactly is the session for tomorrow? Well, I think that's a question John from the future can answer for us. Should we ask him? He's early. I don't like it when he's early.
Hey Daniel.
All right, Jonathan, what's the session today then?
Let me pull it up. 3 to 4 sets, going with a mile jog, 6:15, 6:10, 6:05, 6:10, 6:05, 6:0, 6:05, 6:0, 5:55, 6:0, 5:55, 5:50. We'll see.
How are you feeling about the session then?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's very green down here.
Well, you know what this place is called?
Camp Green.
Camp Green.
I live it one day at a time. I live my life one training day at a time.
What have you guys got today?
I think all of us have some variation of long progression.
Rory, shut the fuck up.
Okay, long progression. Long progression.
Long progression, grind it down, tighten the screws.
My least favorite workout John administers.
Sorry, that was a little harsh.
That's fine. I expect it from you. I'm gonna leave in a minute. I don't consider this anything but sea level though. Like, I don't give myself a Camp Verde to sea level conversion. It's similar enough to me. Complaining about how busy you are. You're like, maybe I can get myself less busy by being a complete asshole.
See that? Nico had nothing but good things to say.
Yeah, well, Nico's a compulsive liar.
Boys chatting shit.
Yeah, you wouldn't know anything about
I keep
chatting
myself
shit.
away from that. I don't need that in my life. I like to focus on the training. Rory gets so caught up in the stardom, what he thinks is stardom.
How hot is it going to be when you guys finish?
At least in the 80s Fahrenheit, that is.
Which is what?
High 20s.
High 20s.
For those who use a reasonable system of measurement.
Thank you, Canada.
I got dropped 1k into the warm-up. It's good for the ego.
Yeah, because you'll come blast and pass them later on anyway. So.
Exactly, Daniel. Exactly.
What do you want Philly to get out of today?
The things I want her to get out of this are, I don't know what I want her to get out of it. You know, we're just here to do a long progression. That's all we're here to do. And from the previous build, there's some
Gremlins.
Gremlins is a great word. I was gonna say apprehension,
Yeah.
tension, demons. So yeah, we're just looking to have a good time. Basically, just cut down briefly. You know, we'll see how she gets after it with as like the sets go by, and you know, we always adjust on the fly. That's kind of the big thing. So
Nice.
yeah, it's just kind of fun with it. You did 4 sets.
Yeah.
Remember? Again, we'll have check-ins and just see how you're feeling. Go from there. Okay.
Cool. You have that tissue, don't you?
Yep.
I might need to poop. During this next 6 weeks and 2 days before the Chicago Marathon, my big goals are going to be getting in as much high quality work as we physically can. Obviously balancing that with recovery. I'm not going to be stupid and adding in extra workouts on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Saturday, but I really want to buy into this plan that John has laid out, where we are trying to get that little extra edge, that extra bit of density, and see how my body responds to that. We're also going to be showing you exactly what that looks like in one of the next few videos. We're going to show you a week full of workouts, and it is more workouts than I've ever done in a week before in a marathon block. So stick around for that. It's going to be a really interesting one because I'm going to be showing you my Tuesday workout, my Thursday workout, my Friday workout, and the long run on a Sunday, and how that really works in practice and how I feel off that. The next goal, which really marries up with that goal of getting all of that high quality work in, is respecting my body and respecting the recovery that that work needs. What does that mean? It means making sure that I'm thinking about my fueling, being really conscious about that, and my hydration, getting enough sleep, even down to how I'm using my energy. I don't want to obsess over these things and having them fine-tuned. I just want to be really conscious and, what's the word? Purposeful with how I'm using my time around the training. Because sometimes that's what can make or break a marathon build. I really believe that. And the third big goal is continuing this work in progress on my mindset and being kinder to myself, fairer to myself. Yes, setting high goals and striving for them, because that's what this sport is about. I wouldn't be here if I just wanted to make up the numbers, but I want to work with myself, not against myself. Does that make sense? think I did that thing again, like when I was on the middleweight, and you know, when I got down to 525s for the last 3 and was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to hold it for the last one, I better press. Same thing, I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna be dropping the pace and then take like 10 seconds off.
Yeah.
It's a good workout.
Yeah? You like that one, huh?
Yeah, it was like, I'd say it got tough like 3rd mile the second one, then it was fine again, then 2nd mile the 3rd one, and then the last one was just hard all the time.
Do you have your splits by chance?
Yeah, 6:17, 6:08, 6:04, 6:30, 6:06, 5:59, 5:51, 58, 52, 45, 30, 52, 45, 34.
Sick.
The 45 was 0.98.
Yeah, dude.
Pretty much from the first rep, I was like, yeah, that was a little slow at the start, but everything else was then like touch fast. So I still like reminded myself at the paces I was meant to go out at.
Yeah.
But by the 3rd or 4th set, I was
it-
like, okay, on paper it's 6:05, but it's like 6 to 6:05 and then around 5:58.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. No, I think you crushed it.
Yeah, you're a bit dirty.
Daniel, how did we do today? How are you feeling?
I did great. I absolutely smashed that.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah, maybe a few of my song choices could have been a little bit different, and I got the change the music about 3 times in the workout, so there's always stuff to improve on. But
When I asked him to change the track,
yeah,
I just give a like this and then he flicks.
yeah. But I was told to shush at one point, so I think I was overdoing the cheering a
You
little
were just
bit.
like constantly, and I was like, shut the up. I really appreciate the support, but it was like I needed like 1/3 of the frequency because you were making time pass slower because I
Fair.
kept checking my watch.
So I'm out here, and hi guys. I think there is some validity to Daniel being in an abusive relationship.
The Let's Run threads are true.
I'm happy with where this week has gone, and I think today especially feels like a real step forward. We'll see what John thinks. Sitting down, not tomorrow, Monday, to just regroup, have that chat. Like we said, touching base every 2 weeks after Falmouth. I think post Falmouth, I thought it would be a 2-week chat to kind of say, oh, do we think this is going ahead? I think it'll be more, okay, this is where we're at. What's the next 2 weeks look like? And just breaking it down like that, which is a really positive way to move forward. We'll see what he says. So we are checking in just over 2 weeks after Falmouth. Yeah, and so we're just checking in on where things are at the last couple of weeks, and that was kind of the deal after Falmouth, not going super well. See where I'm at now on the road to Chicago. I will say I feel a lot better than like this time 2 weeks ago.
Shock.
Which is a good thing, because if I didn't, I think that would be concerning.
Well, that's why we had the check-in, right? Like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Is if you didn't feel better, then we would be considering dropping out of Chicago. We probably wouldn't make a decision today, still, but we'd be looking and being like, you know, this build might not be like what we're looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's a soundbite right there. Just take that snippet. This build might not be what we're looking for. What do you think, looking at the last 2 weeks, checking in from like, starting from that conversation we had after Falmouth compared to like where I'm at now, in terms of like just what we've done and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's gone how I expected it to go, right? You know, the 2 issues that we, like the 2 weeks leading into Falmouth, right? Or those 3 weeks, the 2 issues that we had, COVID and falling, are both very like, hopefully one-off issues, right? Like, no wood. Yeah, but like those are very like specific to, you know, they're not a tendonitis issue, they're not bone stress issue, they're not stuff like that. So the last 2 weeks, my biggest worry was you being like worried and negative about things, to be honest with you. And, you know, I feel like the last 2 weeks have gone exactly how I'd expect them to be. Basically, we could forget the first 3 weeks here in Flagstaff. The last 2 weeks went how I would expect any 2 weeks of a build would go. You know, there was highs, there was lows. You know, it was just a normal 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier. It wasn't perfect, it was just 2 weeks. So.
No, and I think that's what I needed to just like get into some training that just feels like I'm actually just doing it rather than having to think about, all the other things of like putting out fires and stuff.
That's what's nice. That's what a build should be, is not putting out spot fires here and here and here and being like, oh shit, you know, constantly, but instead being, I just need to recover after this workout in order to set up for the next one, and so on and so forth. But I even think, you know, coming off of Falmouth, We had one of the best weeks of training we've ever had that week following Falmouth. You know, and I think this week coming up, or the week we're on technically, is going to set up to be the best week we've ever had of training. Like, you successfully came off of Falmouth, which was a negative space to say the least. You turned around, you did the progression, which was like, you listened to your body, that was fine, right? Coming off of a race, you know, it was kind of a standard workout. You then did an uphill tempo, which you'd never done before. You didn't, you know, freak out, or you handled it properly. You listened to your body. You then missed the first, like, had a miss on basically the first set of the session that day after. Turned that around, had a very good workout, and then crushed the long run. Like, that's why I think that was, you know, all in all, right? Maybe not the biggest week we've ever had of pure, like, you know, volume training, big sessions. But in terms of momentum switcher, like, that's what I would say is definitely the case.
It feels like the trials and tribulations of this marathon block already have been put in front of me for a reason. And that could be me just cherry picking the narrative and saying that because this is what's happened. You can always say everything happens for a reason with hindsight, but it's highlighted things I've needed to work on. I've had to meet those things head on, and I honestly think that I'm going to be better for it. So actually, zooming out and thinking of the bigger picture, if this block changes me for the better, and I can approach the next marathon block having worked through some of this stuff, and we can then focus on improving other things that aren't a priority right now, yeah, that feels productive. It feels good. Obviously, I want to run fast and I want to have a good race in Chicago, but knowing that there's hard work that's been done and is being done regardless of that, yeah, I think lifts the pressure off a little bit. I think that's a good thing. Guess we just gotta love the grind.